The gods of the Mbula forest were not kind nor cruel. They were indifferent, existing in the balance of life and death. But there were rules, ancient and unyielding. Lumora, the river of the ancestors, was both a lifeline and a barrier between the mortal realm and the spirit world. It was forbidden to touch its waters without offering tribute or during sacred mourning periods. Long before Kalunji village existed, Enya was a mortal maiden, beloved by the gods for her beauty and devotion. Her eyes sparkled with moonlight water, and her laugh could turn the darkest days bright. As the herbalist's daughter, she wandered the banks of Lumora, the sacred river, gathering herbs and singing songs. One fateful evening, under the full moon, she met Kalu, a hunter from a distant village. His laughter was bold, his smile warmer than sunlight. Their love bloomed like the wild hibiscus flowers that lined Lumora's banks. But the gods had other plans for Enya. She was destined to serve Lumora as its eternal guardian, her spirit bound to the river. When she swam in Lumora's waters with Kalu during the forbidden mourning season, she sealed her fate. The gods, angered by her defiance, caused her to remain the river's guardian forever. To deepen her torment, they wiped Kalu's memory of her, leaving her with nothing but the river's cold embrace and the whispers of the ancestors. For centuries, she wandered the currents, a prisoner to the waters, until a voice reached her, a voice that carried the whispers of the ancestors. Ayo was different from birth. He was born under a rare lunar eclipse, a child marked by the heavens. His mother, Aduni, often spoke of the strange winds that shook their hearts the moment he cried his first breath. The boy carries the voice of the ancestors, the village elders whispered, pressing protective charms into Aduni's hands. By the age of 6, Ayo's gift became evident and became a burden as well. His voice could soothe restless infants and draw animals out of the hiding. But his songs came with strange dreams. Each night, a dark-skinned woman appeared, her figure shimmering like moonlight on water. She called his name, her voice as soft as the river's currents, carrying both sorrow and longing. As he grew older, the dreams became more vivid. They weren't just dreams, they were visions. Sometimes the river's waters seeped into the waking world, its whispers calling into his ears as he played his flute. He tried to ignore it, but the pull grew stronger with every passing year. One night, during a festival, his voice captivated the entire village. Elders wept and the trees seemed to sway off his melody. But as Ayo sang, he felt something else, a presence. It was her, the woman from his visions, standing at the edge of the crowd. When he blinked, she was gone, but her absence felt like a wound in his chest. Enya had been waiting for centuries. She watched as Kalunji village grew from a tiny cluster of huts to a thriving village. The river had seen births, deaths, and everything in between. But none of it mattered to her. She was bound to the waters, a prisoner of the gods. When she first heard Ayo's voice, it was like the first ray of sunlight breaking through a storm. His melodies carried the whispers of the ancestors, voices she had not heard in centuries. For the first time in her eternal existence, she felt hope. Enya began to appear to Ayo in his dreams, weaving herself into his subconscious. She didn't know if he could break her curse, but his voice was powerful. It could summon the gods themselves and perhaps challenge them. The night Ayo first met Enya was no ordinary night. It was the night of the blood moon, and Ayo followed the whispers in his dreams, his heart pounding. The forest was quiet, the usual hum of insects replaced by an expectant stillness. Lumora's waters shimmered crimson under the airy glow. When Ayo reached the river, his breath caught. If you haven't subscribed by now, this is a perfect time to touch that subscribe button. Thank you. There she was, the woman from his dreams. Her dark skin gleamed under the moonlight, her eyes shimmering with a sorrow he couldn't comprehend. You finally came, Enya whispered, her voice soft yet resonant, as though the river itself was speaking. I feared you would never answer the call. Ayo froze, his heart pounding in his chest. You are real, he stammered, his voice barely audible. I've seen you before. You're the one who has been in my dreams. Enya smiled, though her eyes glimmered with sadness. And you are the boy with the voice of the ancestors. I've waited for you, Ayo, longer than you can imagine. His name on her lips felt like a song, familiar and intimate. He stepped closer, his curiosity overpowering his fear. But why me? Why do I see you in my dreams? What are you? I am Enya, she said, her voice trembling as if the name itself was heavy. The guardian of this river, a woman cursed to watch life pass by, always watching, never leaving. She continued, I am what remains of a woman once loved by the gods and cursed by them in the same breath. But you, she hesitated. You are different, Ayo. Your voice carries the power of the ancestors, a gift strong enough to defy the gods. Your song can set me free. Ayo's breath hitched. Free? From what? The river is my prison, she said, her voice heavy with centuries of longing. Its currents are my chains. I can touch the world but never truly belong to it. To love it, to live it. The gods decreed this punishment for defying their will. But her voice cracked, her vulnerability piercing Ayo's heart. But you what? He asked softly, taking another step closer. But I dream of love, Ayo. I dream of a life beyond these waters. And when I hear your voice, I feel alive again. Ayo felt a wave of emotions he couldn't name. He wanted to reach out to her, to hold her, and take away her pain. Then I'll help you, he said, his voice resolute. If my song can free you, I'll sing until the heavens themselves weep. Enya smiled, but tears fell from her eyes. The gods do not forgive easily, Ayo. To love me is to defy them. To free me is to challenge their wrath. Let them be angry, he replied, his voice steady. You've waited too long, and I feel as though I've been searching for you my whole life. Ayo, to break the curse, you would need to perform the ritual of the ancestors, a forbidden ceremony that would summon the gods. Ayo, the gods do not take kindly to defiance. The ritual would come at a cost. Over the following weeks, Ayo and Enya met every night by the river. Their bond deepened with every conversation, every moment shared under the stars. One night, as they sat on the bank, Ayo strummed a melody on his flute. The soft notes wove through the air, blending with the gentle hum of the river. Enya listened, her head tilted as if savoring every note. You play as if the river itself flows through you, she said. I play for you, Enya. I've never felt music the way I do when I'm with you. Ayo, do you ever wonder why you were chosen? Why the gods gave you such a gift? I've wondered, he admitted, but now I think I know. It wasn't for the village. It wasn't for the glory or praise. It was for you, Enya. Her lips parted, and she looked at him with a mixture of wonder and sorrow. You say such beautiful things, Ayo. Things that make me wish I could be more than this. You are more, he said fiercely. You are everything. The gods may have cursed you, but they couldn't take away the beauty of your soul. Enya reached out, her fingers brushing his, her hand trembling. Ayo, you make me dream again, but dreams are dangerous. They make me forget the truth, that I am a spirit bound to this river. And you, her voice broke, you are mortal. Your life is precious, you shouldn't waste it on me. My life was empty before you, he said, holding her gaze. Every song I sang, every dream I had, it was all leading me to you. How can you ask me to walk away from that? Because I love you too much to see you hurt, Ayo. I love you more than I ever thought I could, and that terrifies me. He reached out gently, cupping her face. Enya, don't be afraid. If the gods want to punish me for loving you, then let them. I would face their wrath 1,000 times over just to see you smile. She closed her eyes, leaning into his touch. Ayo, your love is a gift I don't deserve. But if this is all we have, then I will treasure it for eternity. They stayed like that for hours, their love as fragile and powerful as the moonlight on the river. In accordance with the curse-breaking ritual and an attempt to be free, Enya led Ayo to the sacred grove, a place hidden deep within the forest. It was said to be the meeting point of the living and the dead. The trees were ancient, their roots glowing faintly in the moonlight. The ritual required an offering of 3 things: a piece of himself, that's his blood, a piece of her, that's a strand of her hair, and a piece of the river, a vial of its glowing waters. As Ayo prepared to sing, the forest trembled, the air thick with tension. But just as he began, a shadow emerged from the trees. You won't believe it. It was Eze, a hunter with a fiery temper and eyes that burned with jealousy. Now let me tell you a little bit about Eze. Unknown to them, Eze had been following Ayo for days. His jealousy was like a serpent, coiling tighter around his heart with every passing night. He had long sought Enya's affection, though she had never spared him a glance. Seeing her with Ayo, her face lit with a love she had never shown him, drove him to madness. Eze went to the village priestess, an ancient woman who carried the secret of the gods. How do I destroy her hold over him? He demanded. The priestess stared at him with milky eyes. Enya is not of this world. She belongs to the river, and to love her is to defy the gods. But if you wish to end this, cast this talisman into Lumora. It will awaken the gods' wrath. Eze hesitated, but his jealousy won. Clutching the talisman, he waited for his moment. He stepped forward, his spear glinting in the moonlight. Stop this madness. She's a spirit, Ayo. She's not meant to be yours. Ayo turned, his eyes fierce. You do not understand, Eze. She's more than a spirit. She is my heart. Eze laughed bitterly. Then let the gods judge. Before Ayo could react, Eze hurled the talisman into Lumora, and immediately the ground shook. The river roared, its currents rising like claws. A booming voice filled the air. Who dares summon us? Enya screamed as the water surged, pulling her under. Ayo leapt in after her, his voice rising in a desperate song. The gods, angered by Eze's interference, unleashed their wrath. The river's waters turned dark and the trees around them began to wither. Ayo's song reached its crescendo, the notes piercing through the chaos. For a moment the river stilled and Enya broke free from his grasp. Go! Ayo shouted, pushing her toward the bank. Leave, Enya, leave! But the gods were not done. The river surged again, and this time pulling Ayo into its depths. His voice was silenced as the waters dragged him into their depths. She crawled onto the bank, gasping for air. Enya screamed, her cry echoing through the forest. The god's wrath subsided, leaving only the stillness of the river and the broken heart of a spirit now free but utterly alone. When the villagers found her, she was singing Ayo's song, the melody that had once held the power to calm storms. From that day on, Lumoria was no longer a sacred river. It became known as Ayos River, a place both revered and feared. The sacred grove was abandoned, its once glowing trees now blackened husks. The villagers claimed to hear Ayos' voice on the wind, his song echoing through the forest. Enya disappeared soon after. The villagers claimed to see her by the river on moonlight nights, her figure swaying to an unheard melody. And somewhere in the spirit world, Ayos' song continued, a haunting melody that spoke of love, sacrifice, and defiance of the gods. I hope you enjoyed this story, and please do not forget to subscribe to this channel. Let me know in the comment section what you loved the most about the story. Thank you.